Perfect. Great. So thank you all so much for coming today. My name is Elaine Spector. I'm a partner here at Harity and Harity and a member of the Patent Pathways nonprofit. What started as a diversity initiative within Harity has now blossomed into a 501c3. So I'm excited to have some of our new subcommittee members of the Patent Pathways program, Mahul Shah, who's the Director of IP at Juniper Networks, Rosa Walker, who's the Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Pillsbury, who will be hopefully joining us soon, and then Heather Muller, who's the Senior Patent Counsel at Micron Technology. So thank you guys so much for being here. Excited to have you on board for the Patent Pathways program. So I just want to tell everyone, we are in our second iteration of the Patent Pathways program. We're excited to be launching the second iteration next week, June 6th. We have an opening session for our participants, and Commissioner Vaishali will be joining us as the keynote speaker. So that's super exciting. We will also have the various facilitators for the program and an orientation for the participants. But before we get into this year's program, I want to take a step back and talk today about, for those who are new to the Patent Pathways programs, I'm sure there's some law firms that don't know much about it, to talk a little bit about why we started this initiative and the data behind Patent Pathways and the patent bar. And as we begin to speak about the program, if you have questions about the program, please put them in the chat. We want this session to be interactive. And if you have questions about law firm participation or anything about the program, please do that, and we'll try to respond as we move forward with the information session. So I'm going to hand it over to Heather, who's going to give us a background on the Patent Pathways program.
Sure, thanks, Elaine. Just talking a little bit about the why here, why Patent Pathways. So there's no question that the patent field is one of the least diverse in the professions. So we learned about this in a 2020 ABA article where it cited the interesting statistic that there are more people named Michael practicing as patent practitioners than there are racially diverse people. And when you look at a subset of that group, there are even fewer Black women, only a few hundred out of the total of greater than 46,000 patent practitioners that are out there. And yeah, this number needs to change. This is a big reason why this Patent Pathways program was founded, based on the statistic, and just to make a significant impact in this number in a very practical way, to also increase the diversity in this field overall, not just Black women, but we did start with this least represented group as our initial focus. We do envision expanding the program out to include other underrepresented groups as patent practitioners. And last year, the program had 20 participants. We're hoping to grow that to 50 this year. And the first goal for the participants is to get them registered to practice before the patent bar. And the second is to get some experience in the patent field. So sometimes that first job is the hardest to get. And that's why we've invited law firms here to help participate in this program and get these women the experience they need to get going in this field. So now I'll hand it to Elaine to talk about this first year and how it went.
Thank you so much, Heather. So I know I've talked about this before. I mean, it's wonderful to bring women into, or diverse candidates into the field, and this pilot program focusing on Black women, but getting them that first job opportunity is so critical, because it doesn't do us much good to get them registered to practice and they have nowhere to go. It's like, oh, this is a great field, come on in, and there's no place for you to work. So that's where law firms come in. And we want to talk a bit about the first year in review. We had 20 participants last year, which I thought was a wonderful number to start. And 15 of those participants wanted job opportunities in the field. Some of them were still students and were not looking for full-time job opportunities. We were able to place 9 women in full-time positions, or at least for the 1 year that we were asking firms to do so. Some offered full-time positions. And then we found one that was still in school. We found a summer internship position at one of our law firm partners. And at the end of the day, we still had 5 participants that needed jobs. And so we need more law firms. We need more law firms to join this program to not only support the participants going through the program, but to help integrate them into our field. That's how we're going to move the pipeline. That's how we're going to increase the pipeline. That's how we're going to make a difference, is by including them in providing them job opportunities as a patent community. So I want to talk a little bit about the changes to the program from last year. For those of you who were law firm partners last year, as we're scaling the program to 50, as Heather mentioned, we decided to break the group into 2 rotations. We're going to have a fall rotation and a spring rotation. And so last year we had one group of 20, and we started the program in June. We did a patent law review prep class. And then we didn't set a deadline to take the patent bar. We started giving firms resumes. They interviewed, they were interviewing, trying to study for the patent bar. There was just we learned a lot from that first year. And based on what we learned, we pivoted and to restructure the program a bit to help the participants focus in on that very critical step of sitting for and passing the patent bar. We also have a patent bar subcommittee that's focused on supplementing the materials from PLI so that it's critical that they pass the patent bar. And we're going to focus that in on the summer. As I said, they're starting in June. They're going to focus on studying for the patent bar in the summer. And then we are giving them September to take the patent bar. And then we're going to open up job opportunities in October. And that way they don't have to try to balance, oh, this firm wants to have an interview with me and I'm studying for the patent bar, and that added stress. And some of them might already have jobs that they're in. They might be working full time. So it was just a lot to put on their plate. We felt like this restructure is going to be helpful for both the participant, or mostly for the participant, but maybe also for the firm, because they're going to have someone who's already sat for the patent bar and hopefully had a positive outcome. We also last year, we matched manually the resumes manually, and those of you who were part of it last year realized that it wasn't a perfect process. Certainly there's a lot of growing pains on our side and time invested in trying to make those matchings based on technology areas. And so we decided to shift from matching the participants with the firms manually to providing the law firm partners all the resumes. So then we're not obligating you to interview a certain amount of candidates. You will choose which ones meet your criteria. We're in the process of developing a matching platform. So hopefully we'll make it as easy as possible for you to go through the resumes. There will be 24 participants in this class, so it shouldn't be too hard getting through those actual resumes. So hopefully that will be a good change for those who are not part of the program. Last year, we also asked the firms to commit to hire at least 1 participant. We understand that your hiring criteria might not match up with a participant in the program. So we've removed that. We want you to consider the participants for job opportunities, but they have to obviously match your criteria. So we're not requiring you to hire someone out of the program. We are very hopeful that you will. And in fact, a couple of our law firms found 2 wonderful candidates out of the program. So there's certainly a lot of talented candidates, and based on what your technology area is and your location is, and whether you're remote or hybrid, et cetera, that will all be in the matching platform for you to go through to decide who might be a good match for you. So we're going to be a little more structured in that process as well. And at that point, all of our participants would have sat for the patent bar. The second iteration will happen in the spring. And then we're going to make the interviewing process or the interviews available usually in the May time period. So it looks like we have a question. Let me read this. It popped up and then it disappeared. Okay, let's see. It says, what does a firm need to do to formally commit to the program and have access to these wonderful candidates? So that's a good question, because I can get to that. It doesn't look like Rosa has joined yet, so I can start discussing how to do that. We are going to have a sign up at the end. The sign up will be about wanting additional information for the Patent Pathways program. We're going to have a spreadsheet where you all can sign up. But if you're ready to commit, you can make that commitment on our website. But before I get into it, I do want to discuss a bit about the financial obligation from the law firm perspective. So during our first year, we had some corporate sponsorships that helped cover the fee for the PLI course and the city fees for the patent office. And so with our smaller group of participants, we were able to cover it based on corporate sponsorships. Based on some law firms that joined our committee and some representation from other law firms, there was a sense that, you know, like you had said, I guess in the chat, we are providing wonderful candidates to be considered by law firms. And we are hoping to increase the pipeline of these participants. And we are asking law firms to contribute to the nonprofit the sum of $5,000, which would help cover the cost associated with having an applicant, a participant, going through our program, because they are studying for the PLI course, and we are covering the fee to sit for the patent bar. So to be a law firm partner would require a contribution of $5,000. And again, it goes to the nonprofit. And even if you don't find a candidate, it's helping to support the pipeline and helping to support this diversity initiative to move more diversity into our field. Our hope is that this is going to be the most impactful program if we get engagement by law firms to help bring up diverse candidates into our field. This is a joint effort in the patent field because we can't do it alone. We need everybody involved, all law firms that do prep and pros to get involved with this initiative. So I'm going to hand it over to Heather and Mehul. If you guys could talk a little bit about, from the corporate side, the importance of patent pathways.
Sure, yeah. You know, one of the big reasons that Micron is supporting this is that we look to hire and retain firms that have a diverse pool of attorneys. At the same time, you realize that's easier said than done. So the fact that this creates a pipeline of women and other representative groups within patent field is, I think, great and really important, and a big reason why I've joined up and why Micron is so passionate about this. And you know, another big reason is that we're trying to increase the number of diverse inventors we have in our company. So we have a program that has been going for several years to get more women inventors involved. And as many people in this meeting may realize, sometimes that initial threshold to get new inventors in the patent programs and on patents themselves is really intimidating, and there's kind of a high threshold. So you know, I have found through personal experience and just talking to others that, you know, when the inventors work with people who kind of look like them and kind of understand their experience, that it can really help. So Micron and myself are excited about this program, increasing that pipeline, and hopefully just helping increase diversity of inventors overall as well.
Great, thank you, Heather. Hi, everyone. I'm Mehul. I'm from Juniper Networks. I'm super excited to be here. It's nice to recognize a few familiar names here in the audience. You know, Juniper is thrilled to support ADAPT, Advancing Diversity Across Patent Teams, of which Patent Pathways is a program that supports ADAPT. We actually just went through, I'm leading diversity in IP at Juniper. We just went through the process of evaluating, you know, how we can participate and, you know, promoting this and discussing this with leadership. from our legal leadership, we're looking to increase diversity on all fronts, right? For all the reasons that Heather mentioned. Also, we want to increase diversity. It's a good thing to do. There are just many more people out there, looking for opportunities. We often hear, I'm sure many of you have heard, hey, we can't find enough good, candidates of patent agents and attorneys out there, right? So, well, here's another opportunity. And as Elaine mentioned, this program is gaining so much traction, and we really need your help. I think it's a fairly low cost way to get involved, right? You get to interact with your clients who are participating, potential clients. And it also creates diversity in the workforce, right? As Heather mentioned, having diverse people out there representing your firms and being able to connect with inventors. I think we all know from patent practice that it's not just about the credentials and technical experience, right? It's about all the experiences that make for good quality work. So super excited that you're here and you're taking the time, and would love for you to kind of join us on this journey and at least take the next step. I'll just kind of segue into the sign up part, and before turning it to Elaine, join us in this journey to learn more about the program and find ways that you can help with more firms. I think we can get more traction here and make change.
So I think Hazel is actually going to put a sign up sheet for those of you who want more information about patent pathways and would like to schedule a one-on-one call to talk about it. For those of you who already know you want to sign up, bam, that's wonderful. That's fabulous. We can provide, hopefully Hazel can provide you the link. We can also certainly email you the link on how to sign up through the Patent Pathways webinar. So there's a link to the doc. And so we can do a semi-live sign-on, Mehul. Is that what we talked about?
Sure, why not? No pressure. Again, there's no obligation to join if you're new. We're just asking that if you have interest, we know you maybe need to socialize this and discuss this within your firms, but if you have interest, at least sign up. Say, hey, I'm interested. I'm willing to explore participating in some way. If there are other options other than what's being proposed here. So we'd love to have you involved. Any questions? Elaine, it looks like the document is view only.
Yeah, Hazel, can you change it to, let's see. All right. Yeah, so the 5,000 would be owed per year. So as we get a new group of participants, they will also take the patent. You have to pay fees for each participant. So it would be a yearly fee to cover the costs associated with the participants taking the PLI course and sitting for the patent bar. Another thing, it's the donation is to a nonprofit. And one thing about Patent Pathways, we have no paid employees. It goes 100% to managing the program and providing support for these participants.
Elaine, I think I need access. I tried to edit that from view only, but it said I had to request access from the owner.
Okay, is Samantha the owner? So let me just see this little, if I can try to see if I'm the owner.
While we're waiting, if you're interested, you can even drop just a message to us on the panel, to let us know. I think one other thing I want to mention too, Rosa's not here, so I don't want to speak on her behalf, but I think one thing she was mentioning too is, if you're thinking about how to present this internally, to your firm, diversity is one angle, but it's also valuable from a recruiting perspective, right? How many of you firms spend money, easily $5,000, putting your name up at a conference, right? Or, paying recruiters to get candidates, right? It's a small amount, right? It's going to a nonprofit. It's helping the program, and by participating in it, you get the opportunity to explore these candidates, which might be a good opportunity for you to obviously increase your diversity and recruit candidates to your firm.
You're on mute, Mahul.
Sorry. I'll say that again. Alex, good to see you here. Thanks for your question. Elaine, would you like to answer this question? Alex is asking about the technical backgrounds of the candidates coming through the program.
Yes, I can certainly. I know there's a couple questions beforehand. So Hazel, I'm going to hand it back to you to try to open up the link and hopefully work with Samantha, because she's the one who started it.
She's at the she was like at an award ceremony, but what I did was I copied the spreadsheet and just created another version where I'm the owner. So I'll go ahead and drop the link to that one in the chat, and so everybody
Thank you.
be able to sign up through there. So
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Hazel. I'm going to
you're welcome.
answer the one question. Yeah. So technology backgrounds, I think I don't know if I don't know if I had mentioned it, but we have 24 participants, and we have those with computer science degrees. We have electrical engineering degrees. We've got probably 5 PhDs in the biotech space. We have probably 8 pursuing law degrees or have finished their law degrees, and then really across the full range of tech backgrounds. And I know I saw another question. How many firms have already signed up for this year? This year, we have 9 firms that have signed up thus far. Okay. Are there opportunities for participating firms to use? Absolutely. You can use participating firms absolutely can use patent pathways and marketing material, social media. We'd like you to, in fact, and we will absolutely put you on the website as a law firm partner.
And Elaine, one thing I forgot to mention was that some of the corporations, including Micron, we've talked internally about helping to provide work and also just support to the program to firms that are participating here. And I'm not sure if that's formalized, but I think some other corporations might be similarly interested in helping that way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Heather. And that's a focus of our employment subcommittee, is expanding those opportunities with regard to other corporations in ways that our corporations and law firms can partner together through various assets support through your corporations and maybe some visits to corporate offices. Again, this is our second year, and as we've expanded our employment and inclusion committee, we are also focusing in on ways that we can better expand the program and support the participants and also the people who are participating. This is a time commitment to train someone who's coming new out into the field. So we understand that on all parts, and we're all willing to do our part on that. I guess, Hazel, do you want to try to share the screen?
Yeah, it looks like it's working. Elaine, there's also a comment from Scott Barker.
Okay.
He's asking if there's something they can do to encourage live signups.
What do y'all think? It says there's something we can do, the clients, to help encourage more live signups. I think we're talking about that within our, well, live signups, a good question. I think Heather gave a little bit of a background about how Micron can support with regard to, and I think Mehul, you all had mentioned it as well, support that you would have at Juniper. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the same. We're still, exploring that right now. But I think there's some possibilities for us to be able to partner up, provide experiences, train. So again, the benefit to law firms is getting that opportunity, to work together for a really good cause.
Any more questions? Let me see if okay, so there's another question. Are there ways to participate as individuals if our firms are unable to participate at this time? Yes, absolutely. There's various ways to participate. One is through our committee work that, like, for example, Heather and Mehul joined our Patent Pathways subcommittee. There are 7 subcommittees that you can join to be a part of it. My subcommittee is Employment and Inclusion Committee, but there are 6 others that you could join as well. One is Patent Bar Review Prep. There's you can sign up to be a mentor as well. You can sign up to be a presenter. So if your law firm is not ready, that might be a great way to get yourself acclimated with the program with regard to joining a committee to see what it's about. We also, from the side of the Employment and Inclusion Committee, we are developing an inclusion training for law firms, and it might be an opportunity to help flesh out some of that training for our law firms as we onboard. If you have some similar training with regard to your law firm, what you use, being part of the Employment and Inclusion Committee, you can help contribute to what we ultimately will roll out to law firms prior to the matching period. Let me see if there's any more. Did I miss anything in the chat?
Another question about signing up for a mentorship role.
Yeah, so Hazel, do you happen to have the link to the Patent Pathways website for signups for mentors? We have a lot of signups directly on the Patent Pathways website. So if those who want to take a look.
Let me share the link in the chat with them.
Okay. Okay, here's the patentpathways.org, but there's more specific areas to sign up. All right, let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay, it looks like Ryan wants to be added. Hazel, could you add Ryan? Ryan's information's in the chat. Ryan Elliott. Thank you, Ryan. Let me just.
There's a question from Nika Bennett about how patent candidates are sourced for this program.
That is a very long that is a very long answer. And if you really want to know all the details of it, our recruiting committee is the place to be. We have sourced candidates on a multitude of fronts. We've done it through engineering organizations such as NSBE. We were part of a panel recently through historically Black colleges and universities, through the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, through job boards, through BWISE, which is a Black Women in Science and Engineering, through various sources. Again, and we continue to try to develop practices to recruit as many as possible. It is, it can be sometimes be difficult. We do it through Society of Women Engineers. We do it through job boards, through universities, and a lot what we're finding now, we've started some TikTok videos, dare we say, any way that we can reach people to tell them about this career in patent law, because as you all know, we all have these random ways of getting into patent law, and nobody really tells you. They say, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? You're like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a engineer, but nobody says I want to be a patent lawyer, because nobody knows that what that means. And so that's the biggest step for us, is the informed piece of how are we going to reach this population of maybe engineers that they realize engineering is not for them, and this could be a different career path for them, or for those that are an undergraduate that say, well, I'm not sure I want to do engineering, what am I going to do? So we're trying to hit it from all those fronts, but again, it's a process that's evolving. And again, we will need to continue evolving that process so we can bring more underrepresented communities into patent law as we scale this program. Again, we're scaling to 50 this year, but our vision is to scale it to 100 eventually, and maybe 200 based on job opportunities available in the patent community. That's kind of our limit, like how many jobs are going to be available for these participants, making sure that there should be enough job opportunity for them, not saturation.
I think the other thing to add too, Elaine, is that I think with having more firms, it creates more opportunities for a match. I think you alluded to this earlier. So it increases the opportunity for a match, for candidates and experience. So, it really improves, increases with having more firms participate.
And Mahul, off of that point as well, if you can imagine that every firm that does prep and pros signed on to this program, that we would have all of these participants covered, that we're all contributing to increasing the diversity pipeline in the patent field, and we would distinguish ourselves from other fields that are underrepresented. Like, we actually made a difference. Like, here we got our patent community to step in to help support the participants in increasing, diversity of these underrepresented populations. So that's our vision. I know it's a big dream, but that's the vision for Patent Pathways. But with involvement from corporations and law firms, I think it's possible. I think it's possible. And then the more that we have, the more law firms we have on board, the greater the opportunity for these participants to get a job. That's a very good point. I see another question. Nope, that was answered. So I hope I answered that question about patent candidate source for the program. I think that was as complete as I know. There might be other ways too that I'm not on that committee, so I don't know every single way that they've done, but that seems to be the general scope. Thank you. Any other questions?
I realize we can't talk to you directly, but how does the schedule work for everyone? There's been a lot of thought put into the timing, right? Given that when law firms take on interns, when the hiring is done. So I think this program is also sort of mindful of that as well, to align with law firms' schedules. I have a question, Elaine. So
Yeah.
in this remote working world, which I'm not sure if all of the firms represented here, you know, follow. Where are these candidates located? Right? Are they all over?
They are located. I'm just taking a quick look here. Yeah, they are located. I have some in DC, Chicago, Maryland, Virginia, California, Georgia, Texas, Ohio, West Virginia. There's a number that I don't see location wise, but there are also a number that are willing to relocate as well. And I think the firms that seem to have the most luck with regard to recruiting were ones that were open with regard to remote work. But again, I understand that's not everybody's model. So, but it did seem like the firms that were open to remote work were able to recruit a bit easier because they weren't constrained by location. So that could be another consideration.
I have another question for you, Elaine. So what, maybe you can share what types of other corporations are involved in the program in terms of sponsoring and those involved, and, you know, if it's not, you know, and what industries are they in too? Because, you know, we have firms here that probably have different practices and technologies that they handle.
Yeah, so in our first year, our sponsors were Qualcomm. And what Qualcomm did and what's important to them is integrating the participants into their practice. And so what they've done, and they've done again this year, they committed a second year as well. They were our biggest financial supporter last year, but they also wanted to offer internships to our participants. So we had 3 participants last year that had summer internship programs at Qualcomm, and then continued through our program. Stanley Black & Decker also committed to the program as well. And I know some of their law firms also joined on as well. And then Cargill joined in as well. And they're really focused on recruiting their law firms that need help with diversity, because this will help them increase their diversity, particularly some of their firms that were struggling with diversity. They encourage them to engage with this program. And then now, as we're expanding the program out to other corporations, we want to include more corporations, I mean, across the spectrum of tech areas, because this is really, we're trying to address this issue industry-wide. But again, our focus in our relationships are basically in the electrical software space. So as we increase more involvement, like Cargill's not, that was, they came on board through a relationship that was had with, you know, one of our members of Patent Pathways. And again, I think this is how it grows. Go ahead, Mehul.
Oh, there's a question.
No, so you can hire more than one individual and you don't have to pay more. So we had 2 firms last year that hired 2 participants from the program. And yeah, no, you don't have to pay a fee. It's not an agency fee per se. It's more of a fee to the nonprofit to help cover these women. So yes, you can hire as many as you'd like. We'd like you to hire as many as you can. And, you know, Harity, we hired one of the participants last year. She's wonderful.
And Mehul, you mentioned ADAPT. I know a lot of corporations are participating in that. I was wondering, is that sort of a tie-in as well to bring more involvement?
Yeah, good question. Well, we recently just joined, so we're just, you know, still getting familiar with it. But for those of you who don't know, yeah, ADAPT was launched by, you know, several founding companies last year, I believe.
It's last year.
Yeah. Last year, yeah. I'm not an official representative. I just know about it because we've looked into it and when we joined. And yeah, there's a lot of ways to participate in that program. And that program is focused on the other side of diversity, which is why we're here, advancing diversity in patent teams, in patent practice. And one of the ways to participate in there is participating in a program that's set up, or setting up your own program. And so again, yeah, that's a larger group of in-house companies that are supporting that, pushing that in industry and practice. So that's right, Heather. I think that's another additional connection there to be part of ADAPT if that's interesting to you. You can certainly reach out to them, or we can put you in touch as well. This is one of the programs that's sponsored and supported for ADAPT.
That's wonderful. So yeah, ADAPT launched last September at the Lot Network conference, and it was a collaboration with Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Google, Disney, and Cruise. And Harity joined from the statistics standpoint based on that ABA paper that Heather mentioned, based on demographics of the diversity of the patent bar. So we are collaborating with them so we can track to see if the initiatives that we're doing are making progress. We want to see that the actions that we're taking are going to change the demographics of the patent bar, the diversity. So we'll have a way to track that through this collaboration with them. But ADAPT is a wonderful platform. If you haven't seen it, I would check it out to see what types of other initiatives there are out there and ways to engage your within your organization to improve diversity. Well, Heather and Mehul, do you have anything else to add? I think
nothing else. If you have questions, please reach out, to any of us, or directly to Elaine, or those involved in patent pathways. Happy to discuss it more. Always open to ideas, and most importantly, trying to make change in whatever way you can individually, or as a firm, realizing that every firm, some firms have constraints in how they participate. So looks like there's a few more. There's a comment. Thank you, Alex, and a question from Ryan.
So Ryan, you're asking, are there efforts being made to increase the diversity of those seeking undergraduate technical degrees? Not currently, but yes, that will be our next push. We are dealing with the low-hanging fruit, informing those who have already chosen to go into a technical field, but Patent Pathways was formed as a nonprofit to solve this problem with regard to diversity of the patent field, and that's one of the problems. And so once we get this program up and running, I imagine in some subsequent years, we're going to have another initiative focused on this very problem. And then we're going to keep going younger. That's a great question.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone who took the time to attend this session and is showing interest. It's really great to see the turnout and people requesting further info. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you all so much. And we'll be reaching out and setting up some calls. And thank you all for attending. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll be happy to hop on a call or answer them for you. And again, if it's not something your firm can do this year, think about other ways you can get involved in the Patent Pathways program through mentorship or joining a committee, a subcommittee, get involved in this initiative. So thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you have a good rest of the week.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.